This is Backstage Sonoma, your all-access pass to the local music scene.
Coming to you from beautiful downtown Santa Rosa, this is the Backstage Sonoma podcast. And now, here's your host, Steve Roby.
This is Backstage Sonoma, and I'm Steve Roby. Our guest today is Brian Moss, guitarist and founding member of the jam band Spafford. Known for their genre-blending sound and legendary improvisational skills, Spafford has built a dedicated following of SpaffNerds nationwide. With 2 upcoming shows at the Sweetwater Music Hall in Mill Valley on October 30th and 31st, we'll be talking to Brian about the band's creative process, their live performances, and some of the songs that have become fan favorites like Gold Glitter Hat, Duncan's Uncle, and Dirt Bath, which will kick off today's show. We'll also dive into Brian's new custom guitar, the Crow, and get a behind-the-scenes look into how Spafford creates their unforgettable jams. Our show begins with Dirt Bath. It's Spafford on Backstage Sonoma. Recorded live at Spafford with a performance of Dirt Bath, Spafford's guitarist and founding member Brian Moss is my guest today. I'm Steve, and this is Backstage Sonoma. Brian, it's a pleasure to meet you, and welcome to the show.
Hey, Steve. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Great. Glad you could be here. So for a bit of context for our audience, Spafford has a rich history of lineup changes and musical evolution. How has that journey influenced the band's sound over the years?
Well, I mean, you take away a member and their influences and personalities musically, both on and off the stage, and put in a new player, any which instrument which is being replaced at that time, and you bring a different sound to it. It's pretty much that simple. I always had an idea of, I called it the bubble theory. And I always thought of it as kind of cartoons when they have like that think bubble above their head. And for musicians, when we walk into a room, think of like just a simple square room with musical instruments in it. Each member that walks into that room, that think bubble kind of molds and it becomes one big think bubble. And up in that bubble is each person's personalities and their influences, their style, their education, anything that makes them who they are as a musician. And if you remove one person out of that room and put a different person in that room, then it just becomes a different melting pot. It's a different concoction of how the music's going to come out. So I've always thought of it that way. And it always makes it interesting and can definitely just change the sound based on who's in the room at the time.
Absolutely.
The music is being played.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, why don't we take this opportunity to have you introduce the band members to us? Who plays what?
Yeah, this tour, we have Corey Scheckman on keys and vocals. We have Nick Tkachuk on drums and vocals. And we have Sean Gordon on bass and vocals.
Great. Well, let's talk about your incredible jams that Spafford is known for. Can you walk us through what happens on stage during one of those moments when you guys are all locked into a groove? What kind of signals or intuition guide the band's direction during those extended jams?
Sometimes there just isn't any cues. A lot of it is musical. I think that, at least for me, what I'm always looking for is to get to those grooves that we are super locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And once we're there, you don't really want to leave it. And it's funny because me and the guys look at each other sometimes on stage and we say, hey man, like I could sit here, I can sit in this groove all night. And it's pure improvisation. We're not really sure how we got there. And we're not really sure where it's going to go after that. But when we're in that moment, we really want to milk it for as much as we can.
Yeah.
It becomes this thing that's almost effortless for each one of us. Maybe you dug and you were looking for something to play that bounced off of rhythmically, melodically for where the other guys are.
Yeah.
And once you find that, and once the band finds it, we just know. We look at each other and we smile and we say, hey, we're here. Just stay here.
Are you the one that steers the ship there? Or do they look over to you for direction?
No, well, for me, since I've been singing majority of the songs now, there's cues that we do have for going to the next section of the song, but that can happen in 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So once it's finally exhausted itself, I can step up to the microphone, and that would mean like, hey, I'm gonna be singing next, and what's happening in the song? Oh, I'm gonna be probably going into the next verse or the final chorus or something else. So there's stuff like that. But musically, we definitely try to leave it that anybody can drive the ship at any time. Before we go on stage, we always say, be patient, listen to each other, but most importantly, have fun. And to expand on that, sometimes I say, listen when others are speaking, but speak if you want to be heard. And sometimes really, and that's the beauty of what we do, is you can really tell like somebody's trying to say something there. So you sit back musically and really let them say what they want to, and you're comping them. And I think some of the best jams is when I am more in a comping phase, letting Corey or Sean or Nick, like they letting them speak more rather than me as an electric guitar player going on the top and playing over that. I certainly love that part too. I love wailing guitar solos and I love shredding and I love all that stuff. But I do think the best jams is when everybody is working together.
You make it sound so easy and so well.
I've done it for a long time, so it's just been this strange skill set that I never thought I would have in life. But I'm rolling with it.
Well, let's talk about setlist creation, especially with a jam band like yours. Where each show is unique, is there a balance between planning and leaving space for spontaneous moments as you were talking? How do you make each night sound so different?
I think the spontaneity of it is always applicable, right? So we always say, like, this is the list of songs that we're going to play, that we're going to try to get to. But if something happens in that first song and it's going to turn into an hour jam, then let it be an hour jam. Because those are the moments that we really live for. That's why we do this. I mean, we love to play our own songs, and we love to share that, and we love to give the fans the songs that they're chasing and all that. But as pure as music can be in its improvisational format, I think that we really try to get to those moments that you didn't know were going to happen. And it's nice to at least try to have one or two of those an evening. Sometimes there's none, and that's okay too.
So a set list is pretty fluid then.
The set list can be, like open to interpretation there.
Okay.
If we're cruising along and we extended the first song, then maybe the next couple songs get cut short. Maybe we start pulling some songs from the set list and we just see what's going to come next and how the set list would function better. Yeah, we talk a lot about functions of our songs and what function, what's that role for each song. So each set wants to have a function to it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of songs, let's talk about the song Gold Glitter Hat. What inspired this song, and how does it fit into Spafford's larger narrative?
What inspired the song was my wife was having her golden birthday at the time, and she turned 29 on the 29th. And we threw a party for her, big gold party. It was gold this, gold that, And she wore this gold glittered hat, which actually I'm holding in my hands right now. I still have it. It sits on my shelf with all my other memorabilia and stuff throughout the years. Yeah, I think that the song just came right around that time. It was a really fun song. Her persona that night was just incredible. And I have this great picture of her in the gold hat, holding some gold drinks in her hand. And it was just a really fun night. And I think that the song was just built around that persona of my wife studying in.
Cool. Well, let's listen to it now. This is Gold Glitter Hat. This is Spafford here on Backstage Sonoma.
Got a gold glittered hat, dancing on the wire. She's got a gold glittered hat, yeah. The way she walks through the fire, I said, hey, hey, hey. Oh, hey, 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 yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Oh, hey, 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 yeah. gotta go get it high. Dancing on the wire. She's gotta go get it high. Yeah, yeah. The way she walks through the fire. I said, hey, hey, hey. Hey, 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 yeah. I said, hey, hey, hey. Hey, 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 yeah. You wanna start grooving. You wanna start grooving. You wanna start grooving. You wanna start grooving.
The song is Gold Glitter Hat. It's a live performance. Guitarist Brian Moss is my guest today. I'm Steve. Thanks to everyone for listening to Backstage Sonoma. Brian, how do you stay creatively inspired when writing new music, especially with the genre-blending sound of Spafford?
Well, I try to listen to new music a lot, which is hard sometimes. I tend to fall back into my old habits and listening to old jazz or old jams or just some of my old catalog. And I really try to seek out some new stuff from what people are listening to these days. And I'm not necessarily even in the jam genre. A recent artist I really got into lately was Aurora. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's a Norwegian gal who's just got a great vibe. I love her music. I love the music videos. I love everything about it. Electro pop sort of stuff. But I really like it. But when I start to write a song, maybe that's what I've been listening to over the last a couple months or something. I start to write a song that kind of goes in that vein. I try to just be really in tune with the experiences that are happening around me in the world, both good and bad, and jot them down and just try to allow them to come out in the music that I'm creating at that time. That's pretty much how I go about songwriting these days.
Cool. Well, let's talk about one of your prized possessions, your custom hollow body guitar. The new one's called The Crow, and it replaces The Raven. How has The Crow shaped or influenced your playing, and what's the story behind naming it?
The Raven, just to go back to there, the Raven was built by my good friend, Andrew Thomas. And I believe I received that guitar on my 30th birthday, which was around 2014, 2015. And ravens were pretty prevalent in my life. I was living in Prescott, Arizona, and there's a lot of ravens in there. There's a lot of raven named things. There was the local bar called the Raven, and it just made sense to call it the Raven at that time. Each Raven has a unique sound to their voice, and that was one of the reasons why I named that. So, and sticking with the bird theme there for guitars, as Andrew and I were talking about the new one and building the new one. One of my favorite movies back in the day was the movie The Crow with Brandon Knight, the original, and coincidentally, they actually just released another one, but I have no desire in watching it. And I didn't hear very good reviews about it either. So when, to me, there was something, that movie was just a very profound image for me growing up. I had face paint and everything. And many years ago, I dressed up as the Crow for a show, not with Spafford, but with another band that I was in. Yeah, I just, thinking of another band, the Crow was always something that really meant something to me. And when Andrew and I were picking out the wood for that, and we wound up going with the myrtle wood, I noticed that it had like a white background and black streaks in it, which reminded me of Brandon Lee's face paint in the movie, how the two lines went over his eyes. So yeah, it was pretty much right there to name it the Crow. And the guitar is really special to me. The Raven was built for me without my knowledge of it. So when we built that guitar, some of the dimensions, I think that Andrew realized maybe my hands were a little bit bigger than they were and stuff. And I play the guitar. I love the Raven, and I got great usage miles out of it. But we both knew that we wanted to expand on that and take it to the next level. So Andrew and we took a lot of dimensions for the new guitar. I didn't even know what we were doing half the time, but he did, because he's a brilliant luthier. And he built it. And once I got it and I put the strap on and I put it on my body, it just fit perfect.
Nice.
It just sat. It was just a pure extension of my body. And I've never held a guitar that fit more perfectly than the Crow.
Sweet. Where does the Raven live now?
In its case, it's still backup.
Still with you.
Yeah, there's some songs that I do in like an alternate tuning. So I try to keep that in the alternate tuning and play those songs with that. So it does make an appearance every once in a while.
Yeah. So it still hangs around.
It's still around. It's still on tour.
Nice.
It's not getting as much love as it used to.
Let's talk about another one of your songs here. This is Duncan's Uncle. It's another standout track for the band, and we'll play it next. But first, can you share its backstory and how it's evolved through live performances?
Duncan's Uncle has really only seen a live performance about 3 times.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 3 or 4 times. And when I originally wrote the song, I wrote it back in 2003 or 4 when I was around 18 years old. And it never saw light of day until just recently. And it was something that I always had in my back pocket. The song really meant a lot to me. I wrote it about a really good friend that I grew up with in high school who had passed in 2009. And I wrote the song about him well before he even passed. So once he did, the song even had more meaning to me. And it really was like a gift that I wanted to give to his family. And it just never had the time to just show up. It never felt like right. And I always played it for the guys and they were always familiar with it, but we wound up working on it in around 2022 or 23 and started giving it some legs. And so we finally had an opportunity to finish it and had an opportunity to play it. And then I had an opportunity to pass that over to my friend Steve's sister and let her know that this song was written about her brother so many years ago, but finally we're playing it. So,
what a nice tribute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's take a listen now. This is Duncan's Uncle by Spafford here on Backstage Sonoma.
feel that I can turn your life around, and maybe someday I'll be. If I were you and we and someday you'll find me there, sitting on a bench in the park. And you won't even notice me, staring at the pond, and I start to sail. And then I fall in. I see my trouble ending within. My hope for a new day begins. Side by side as our minds once were. Someday I'ma make it far, so you can choose to trust in me. I'm not sure you're happy with who you are. You must divide your wants from your greed and ask yourself if there's more to this. And naturally your conscience is free. I ran to another land. Love me, hate me, blame me. I've tried to guide those in my place, and all I can say is the truth take place and find your escape. Will you ever escape? Will you ever you will? Will you ever you will? Let truth take place and find your escape. Will you ever you will? Will you ever you will? Let truth take place and find your escape. Out here the air is never cold, nor is the wind it ever mean. But at night you freeze in silence for what your eyes have never seen. I'm choosing reality. I'm choosing reality. I'm choosing reality. Are you choosing me? I'm choosing reality. I'm choosing your love. I'm choosing your love.
That is Duncan's Uncle by Spafford, and the group's guitarist Brian Moss is with us, as we wrap up this interview. The SpaffNerds, it's a community of incredibly dedicated fans, your fan base. How's the band's relationship with those fans influenced how you approach live performances and releasing music?
I think that the community is pretty forgiving for us, as they will allow us to do whatever we want on stage. And they're also very encouraging when we try new things up there. And they're really in tune with what we do. They love their stats and analytics of things. And I don't know, I find it definitely to be very encouraging. They're the sounding board for us. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that we wouldn't be anywhere without the SpaffNerds, that fan base.
Sure. Are you in touch with them? Do you have like a communication way of reaching out to them? Or they to you?
I think that there's a lot of fans of Spafford, but then there's seemingly only fewer SpaffNerds who are willing to wear that mark. And at any given show, you can spot them out. And they're definitely the more ravenous creatures of the show. They're a little more energetic and in tune with what we're doing, and I love that about them. And I love that they try to bring more people into that group and create a community around it. Because at its heart, it's a beautiful community that really supports each other in what they do with the shows, or who they are as people.
Yeah.
Supporting each other's businesses and backgrounds and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's a great thing to see. It's very nice to see long-lasting friendships that come from a community like that.
Great. Hey, Brad, what's on the horizon for Spafford regarding new projects, collaborations, or tours? Are there any upcoming releases that fans could look forward to?
There's always stuff in the hopper. There is. Right now, I think we're focusing on touring and touring out the rest of 2024. We have plenty of shows booked for 2025, so we just kind of continue on and keep doing what we're doing, keep our heads up, and just moving forward.
Sounds good. Speaking of live shows, you've got 2 upcoming shows at the Sweetwater Music Hall on October 30th and the 31st, Halloween. How do you plan to make each night unique for fans? And will there be any special setlist surprises that you can tell us now, or Halloween-themed elements for the second show?
Right. I mean, we always keep that kind of a surprise. We never really roll into a theme and kind of market like any sort of theme for it. But there's always something that we do for Halloween, and we're excited to play this year at Sweetwater. We absolutely love the room. We love the vibe up there. Mill Valley is a beautiful town, and we always get some really good jams out of that room, especially with the great crowd that comes up there. So yeah, we're really excited to spend Halloween with everyone at Mill Valley, and hope everybody comes out and has a good time.
Yeah, definitely. So let me remind our listeners, Spafford will perform 2 shows at the Sweetwater Music Hall in Mill Valley, one on Wednesday, October 30th, and one on Thursday, October 31st, Halloween. Doors open at 7 and showtime for each show is 8 p.m. You can pick up tickets at sweetwatermusichall.com. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining us. It was great getting all this insight into the band's music and diving deep into your brand new guitar. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me, and look forward to seeing everybody at the shows.
All right. Brian Moss, everyone. We'll be back in a moment.
Hey, musicians. Would you like to be a guest and promote your upcoming concert and latest release? It's easy. Just email the host at backstagesonoma@gmail.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
Thanks for listening to the Backstage Sonoma podcast. Join us next time for more great interviews and music from local and touring musicians. You can find us on the web at backstagesonoma.com.